Welcome back to the Top 6 show. Today we are sponsored by the leading global fantasy football game, So Rare. Please click on the link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen now to sign up to your free account. Welcome back. How is everyone doing? We all good?
Good,
yeah, I'm brilliant.
Good,
I'm
nice
good,
long.
No, I was not good.
Oh, I probably haven't seen you actually, Husam. You did go missing after the poor end to the season. You called out Liverpool. You said we had a crap year, and then you started blocking everyone. How are you, mate?
Listen, I'm good now. I'm actually not good still. My head is still hot, and every day these transfer rumors make me even angrier. I can't lie. I'm just angrier by the day. But first of all, I disappeared because, as you know, Terry, I have so much respect for the Terrace. I don't want to say shit that'll get the channel cancelled, because after that Champions League final and after that Premier League final day, what I would have said would have genuinely got this channel, cancelled. Strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, all in the same video. So
I have a human account manager now, so that can't happen. So fire away. I say KJ was ready with the clips, we're ready to go. But appreciate you being here. We've got Patrick on the show tonight. Anita's back. Daniel's here. Man Lucky Gal as well. Viewers, make sure the like button is being smashed. Loads to talk about on the show today. A Ruben Neves bid from Manchester United. We're taking a look at Messi and Ronaldo and why one gets more criticism than the other. Pulisic to Liverpool, Nunez to Liverpool, and the beef none of us thought we would love, but we do. Goldbridge versus Thibaut Courtois. We're delving into all of it on the Football Terrace Top 6 show today. Remember, we are sponsored by So Rare. Use the link in the description or pinned in the live comments section or the QR code on the screen to sign up to your free game now. I want to start with some of these Liverpool rumors, because your face, Husam, your face is a picture right now. Darwin Nunez. It's being reported that a few days ago now that you're going to come in and you're going to try and hijack this deal away from Manchester United. Paul Joyce, one of the most credible Liverpool journalists around, has now said essentially the same thing, that you are seriously looking at him. Give me your thoughts about him becoming the new striker to replace Sadio Mane in this Liverpool squad.
Listen, I don't want Darwin Nunez. I'm a very 54% pass completion rate per 90. That's a damning stat right there. He's essentially a taller version of Diogo Jota, if I'm being completely honest. We already have a Diogo Jota at home, which we complain about his link-up play, etc. I feel like I just want someone who brings more to the table than just goal scoring, because I have to look at the fluidity of the front three. I have to look at the interchange. I have to look at the space creation. So many different things. Now, will Darwin Nunez allow us to play prime Stoke 2008 football against a low block and just cross the ball in and he can head it into someone or head it into goal? Yes, he will score goals. We do know that. But at the end of the day, with all due respect, honestly, we already have a Jota at home. I don't need another Jota again, because my blood is boiling. Honestly, these links, Terry, like, you see, the thing is, I'm going to tell you about my life experience as a Liverpool fan. Last time, we lost the Champions League final against Real Madrid. Next day, we signed Firmino. So, immediately we're like, okay, we're coming back. Let's go. This time, we're linked to Pulisic. We're linked to Darwin Nunez. And I genuinely, every day I wake up and I'm more angry and I'm more angry and I'm more angry. And I just want to say one thing as well, because this is a narrative that's two narratives I want to address. See, because I know the question and I know the answer already. Number one, the first narrative is Klopp improves players. So I have a suggestion to every single Liverpool fan. Because Klopp improves players, let's call Eric Ten Hag, let's go sign Scott McTominay. If any of you have a problem with that, you can't say shit about it, because Klopp improves players. Just because Klopp improves players does not mean your standard needs to be at the bottom of the ocean when asking for signings or when looking at signings for your football club. We know Klopp improves players. I'm on the trenches fighting for him every day. That does not necessitate that we just get garbage players and say, okay, Klopp can improve him. How long will it take Nunez to be able to pass the football properly? That's number one. Number two, Husam, what did you say in 16-17 when we signed Salah, when we signed Mane? Once again, two different starting positions. In 16-17, in 17-18, Liverpool wanted to get top 4. In 22-23, we are trying to win the Premier League. We're trying to win the Champions League. So it's two different starting positions. It's two different processes. It's two different things. If we sign Darwin Nunez, I'll support him, of course, because he's a Liverpool. I never block anyone unless it's personal insults. If you do football banter, I'm never blocking you. But if you start throwing personal insults, you are gonna get the block button. I use it. I'm blocked by more Liverpool fans than anything, anyway. But I digress. So look, I'll support him, but I think it's a long way. It's a long way to actually get to that complete striker that we want. So
you spoke there for 3 minutes and 20 seconds. I'm gathering you're not happy. That's kind of the overall message I got there.
Yes, I am not happy, Terry. I am not happy at all, Terry. I'm triggered, Terry. I'm not just not happy.
I think you're over exaggerating, bro. Bringing up Scott McTominay's name in regards to Darwin Nunez. Like, come on, bro.
That's not the point.
I feel like you're really over exaggerating it, because the thing is, right, with the way Liverpool play that fluid football, whatever, blah, 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 it worked with Sadio Mane, Salah, Firmino, Jota. It worked with those 4, right? Obviously, he's working with Luis Diaz as well, but maybe something needs to be different next season. Maybe. And this might be the little different thing that Jurgen Klopp is trying to do. You never know. Don't knock it till it's actually happened. Don't knock it till it's here. But a striker's main attribute shouldn't be to pass. This is the new age striker we're talking about. It shouldn't be to pass. At the end of the day, if he comes and he's scoring you those goals, like Diogo Jota was last season, and people sat here and crucified me for saying that I don't think he's a great player, by the way. If he's scoring you the goals, what is the problem? What? Because he can't pull two passes together. If he's getting 30 goals a season, do you really care?
Anita, 54% pass completion rate.
This might be
out of 2 passes, one of them is going to the opposition.
This might be
one of them is going to the opposition. Can you imagine how crazy that is?
This might be a terrace first. So I think we should cherish this moment. But I wholeheartedly and 1000% agree with Husam.
Wow!
1000%.
Wow. Terry, run that again.
Wow!
Yep, 1000%. Look,
why is that?
One of the beauties of Klopp's system is that you don't need to fix what isn't broken, and there's nothing wrong with the model, the players that he buys for his team. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. We spoke about what happened last season, and we've had our theories. Maybe they gassed out towards the end because they went for all 4 competitions. Who's to say that Klopp doesn't focus on the two big ones next year and doesn't go and win both of them next year? All he needs to do is stick to his guns. If you see the trend, what people forget is when Liverpool bought Sadio Mane, he had already had 2 seasons for Southampton in the Premier League where he got double-digit goals. So Sadio Mane wasn't a bum. Sadio Mane was a good player. He just wasn't playing for a top team. The same thing goes with someone like Diogo Jota. I think Diogo Jota for Wolves got double-digit goals in that Wolves team as well he got bought.
He did.
And he got bought. Then you obviously got Salah, who was getting double-digit goals in multiple seasons in a European league. So for me, obviously, I understand the Darwin Nunez thing. Obviously, he had a big season, a breakout season. I do have my concerns. Pass completion, he's a bit clunky. And I've just never seen Klopp have a clunky player. One of the first things Klopp did when he came into Liverpool was sell Christian Benteke. And Benteke isn't the clunkiest of players, but they've got similar molds where I just don't see what's it called, Klopp using that type of striker. Yes, the argument has been made that it is a different alternative. Trent can cross it in, Robertson can cross it in, someone can header it into the box, and that is a fair argument, and it's very plausible. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer in this, but for me, I just think if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be looking at the situation and thinking, if we are going to spend 70 odd million, which you're going to have to buy Darwin Nunez, come on, man, there's better apples on other trees, man. I don't need
what other better apples
That's
are
what
there?
I was about to say.
Available?
Don't you believe?
Don't
you think the striker market right now is mid? There's
no need
to go and spend 70 million on a hunch. Like, I just don't think he's Liverpool's cup of tea, man. That's like me drinking a mocha every week, and then for some reason I want to try and explore a flipping what's it
Caramel
called?
macchiato.
No, a black coffee, man. Black coffee.
That's all I drink, black coffee.
No milk.
Liverpool
I
have been
suggest you
linked
start
to-
drinking black coffee, honestly. It's some next level stuff.
Liverpool and Man United have both been linked to Darwin Nunez, but there's another guy, Nkunku, that everyone in the chat is now mentioning. He's the guy that I would have probably thought Liverpool would have heavily gone for this summer. And if there's any player out there that's performing and is actually possible to bring in this summer for all these top clubs, I'm surprised more people aren't linked to him at this moment in time.
Everyone's linked to Nkunku. Everyone and their mothers is linked.
No,
to
Let me.
Nkunku.
I just want to say one thing.
What I mean linked, what I mean
Sorry.
linked, I mean more serious, like bids going in.
It costs
and, like,
80 million right now. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why. That's the only
Nkunku
reason
don't
why
cost
bids
80.
are-
He
the
does,
only
like,
reason
yeah,
why
he needs
bids
to
are not
like
going
that.
in for him is because Leipzig
Why
are
does this price
demanding a
tag change every day? What is this? The stock market?
Exactly. The prices right now for all of these forwards are absolutely crazy. And it's like you said, Daniel, you can't pay X amount of money for a hunch. I get it. But if right now you need someone new, you need something new, and Darwin Nunez is tipped to be the hottest next striker, closest to Vlahovic or whatever, then if Jurgen Klopp wants to take the gamble, you've got to put your trust in Jurgen Klopp and whatever he wants to do.
Anita, you're proving my point. I want someone, yes, I want someone, but I want someone who can also pass, who can also play football. That's what I want. Is it too much to ask? Because I'm already picturing in my head we're 1-0 down against someone.
Don, but you're missing Anita's point though. That what I would say is this: you've got two managers that I know one's about to become the Man United manager, so the salt's going to fly. But if you were to say pick two of the best sort of technically minded baller type managers in the world right now, Klopp and Erik ten Hag's name would come out on that list somewhere in the top 10, easy, top 5 most probably. They both want him. Like, Patrick, from your point of view, do you think people are focusing on this pass completion stat maybe a little bit too much?
Yeah. A striker's main point of playing is to score goals, yeah? Score goals, bring people into play, but primarily you want your striker to score goals. Yes, we've been spoiled with people like Harry Kane who can pretty much do it all. Even Lewandowski, Benzema this season has had a breakout season. Where you're seeing his...
He started with
Harry Kane.
He's the benchmark.
Harry Kane is the prototype of the new age striker. Someone that can play the 9, play the 10. Yeah, he is. Come on, like all jokes aside, Harry Kane is creme de la creme. He is. Come on, you gotta give it to him. But anyway, I digress. But going back to the point, your striker's main point is to score goals, and Nunez does that. I don't all this passing stuff. I can't lie. I'm not gonna sit here and go on like I know everything about him. I don't. I've hardly seen him play, so I don't know. I'm gonna have to take you Sam's word for it. But like Terry said, if the top managers want him, that kind of tells you all you need to know about him.
You see my issue though, because the once upon a time, the top managers also wanted Harry Maguire. So it's not necessarily about the top managers wanting a certain type of... My thing is, we've praised these managers on their philosophy and the players they buy for that philosophy. Why is it that now when we maybe question, and I'm not saying it's not like I'm not fighting anyone on it, but I'm saying why is it that now when we question a player that doesn't necessarily in our heads, yes, we're not in the position, but we're questioning whether that player fits that philosophy, it's now a problem. I get that Darwin Nunez is a goal scorer, but like I thought, Lukaku's a goal scorer, and I thought Tuchel's system, all it needed was a goal scorer. Clearly, it needed much more. Do you know what I mean?
Can I just say one thing?
I want to throw in the stat really quickly. Sorry, Gal, I'll go to you afterwards. So I've been looking here because I'm tailoring the stats rather than looking at this isolated season. Career pass completion for Darwin Nunez as a professional footballer is 81%.
There you go.
Career pass completion for Karim Benzema, 83%. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Karim Benzema, not for a second. I think his pass completion stats have been poor this year. That really, for me, shouldn't be the focus because you're looking at one isolated year. You know, I just don't think that's what it's about.
Terry, have you watched him though? Have you watched him though?
Mate, I'm not going to lie. I sat there during the Champions League games where he was playing against Liverpool.
Yeah.
My biggest issue was, first of all, was the man bun. It's not 2009 anymore.
I think it's cute.
But for me, I'm not sold on him. I'm really in the middle, but I do see a raw player. It was his first touch that I had more of an issue with. There was a very, very, very much big 4-4.
Terry, how old is he, and how many goals has he got this season?
But he's 22, and
there you go.
He's young.
He's young.
Yeah, I mean, he's very, very young. And if you look at him this season as an example, he scored in 51% of the games he's played in, and he's created or scored a goal in 72% of the games that he's played in, like this season. Like, it's ridiculous. He's
all I'll say.
He's good for Man United, not a club trying to win now. That was the example I used.
Wow.
When I mentioned. Okay, I didn't mean it to come out that way, but it's just the truth. Anyways, you guys' reaction made it way worse than it actually was. Way worse.
Sam, you're not trying to win now, though. Do you know why? You know you're not.
I absolutely am trying to win now.
No, you are, but your club ain't. You know you're not, because you've got two players that are willing to stay, but they want to be paid Ballon d'Or nomination level money.
I think one of them stays.
Well, but the point is, they want to get paid the going rate for players of their fame, of their ability, and a lot of your fans say, no, don't give it to them. They start again with younger up and coming. Darwin Nunez is a stereotypical Liverpool signing, raw and young, and you build them up. It's exactly.
I hear what you're saying. I genuinely hear what you're saying. I didn't mean it to come out in a disrespectful manner to Man United, but at the end of the day, my point still stands. We're in a position where we have 5-6 players in their prime in the starting 11. By the time Darwin Nunez has fully developed, those players are now old people on their wheelchair, can no longer play football. So it's just, that's the issue with the whole situation. Also, let me just clarify one thing. I'm going to just clarify the Scott McTominay comment. And let me just clarify it, because Anita jumped on it. I am not comparing Scott McTominay to Darwin Nunez. What I am saying is, there's a certain section of Liverpool fans who think just because the get out of jail free card is Klopp improves players, we can just sign any Tom, Dick and Harry and Klopp's going to improve him and full stop, he's going to be amazing. I feel like there needs to be a certain standard with this whole situation. If you ask me, there's people out there that would suit the Liverpool system. People are talking about Darwin Nunez as if he's like a cheaper option. He ain't cheap. He's 75 million. So I'd get Nkunku, or I'd go to Inter and get Lautaro Martinez. Boom, problem solved.
I just think one of the things, and again, like we've said, there's two sides to it. And Darwin Nunez, for all I know, will come in and be amazing when he gets to one of the top clubs. For me, though, and I think we've learned it. There's obviously the more the debate example, but I think across football, technical ability, and I'm not even focusing on the pass completion stat. I didn't even know the stat before today. It's just more me aesthetically watching the player and his technical ability not being there. That's not something that necessarily you develop over time. You don't become a techie player. That's not something that improves in your game. And I think one thing for me as well about that,
Lukaku's hurt you so hard, didn't he, bro? He's hurt you so bad.
Not even, but I think one thing about those kind of players is that they need systems and teams built for them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You just need to make sure you find the right situation for him. Innit?
You know what? I'm just gonna say this. I've thought this player is a really good player, and a lot of people probably don't rate him to the level I rate him to. But Liverpool, I seen their link to Ivan Toney. I think he'd be the perfect Roberto Firmino replacement.
No way.
You guys are laughing.
No.
You guys are laughing.
I like Toney. I like him.
You guys are laughing, but when it comes to technical ability, passing, when it comes to actual link up, everything.
Toney does not have that Firmino pass in his locker. He doesn't, or that link up play.
You're getting upset, Husam. Wallahi, I genuinely would take him at Arsenal over Gabriel Jesus.
Hang on.
Not Arsenal. We're Liverpool, bro. We ain't the same. Don't apply your standards to me. I'm trying to win Prem. I'm trying to win Champ. You're trying to qualify. I'm not. I want to win the thing you're trying to qualify.
You want a Roberto Firmino replacement? This is somebody who's already playing in the Premier League and is a good
Firmino don't even start. He ain't replacing Firmino. He's replacing Mane, bro.
Okay, then you can't replace Mane. It's gonna be
there. You go. Except if it is Nkunku or Martinez.
No matter who you buy.
The link out there is right now. Christian Pulisic.
Oh my God, the LeBron James.
Oh my goodness gracious me! God have mercy on my soul.
This story is real. This story is genuine. There is legs to it. A fair number. I mean, that source there, of course, we've got one of their employees here with us right now. There's a lot of talk about this. Christian Pulisic to Liverpool. I want to go to the Chelsea fans first on this. If you're going to pick up, say, 40-50 million pounds for
I'm going to go get some water, man.
To Liverpool, how would that make you feel? Are you going to feel sad and worried and scared about what he's going to do? Or are you driving him to Anfield to sign those papers? What are we saying?
I think I'll go first. And I just want to start with a lot of people who have watched the Terrace for about 2 to 3 years that have now turned on Christian Pulisic as Chelsea fans owe me a severe apology because I literally told everybody 2 to 3 years ago, Christian Pulisic is nice and all, but I don't see him integrating into this team as well as people believe that he should be. And that's exactly what's happening. I think Christian Pulisic is a baller. Don't get me wrong, but the type of player he is, he's not a Chelsea type of player. You know, what we need on the wing for Chelsea is not a player that was,
He's a what?
He's a baller. Christian Pulisic, he's a baller. No. There's no denying that he's a baller. Like if I want to re-jog,
there is denying. There is so much denying.
No. That's not what I'm not gonna hear. Like Christian Pulisic, he is a baller. He can ball. He can ball out for you. He just needs that sort of direction. I don't even know what it is. When he gets into the final third, I just feel like sometimes he either panics or he just goes straight for goals. Sometimes what he needs to do is kind of find that final pass, and he just doesn't do that. But with the right manager and with the right system, he can be cultivated, and he is a baller. There is a baller in there. He's really talented, but it doesn't work at Chelsea for some reason. And I feel like for 50 to 60 mil, if he was to go to Liverpool, I wouldn't mind, you know. I wouldn't mind him going to Liverpool. And I think he would.
That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money for Pulisic.
Yeah, but the thing is, one thing about Chelsea is we're going to make our money back. Like, we're not going to let him go for a measly, like, 30 mil. Like, that's not happening. It's either a 50, 60 mil that we're going to get for Christian Pulisic, and that's probably minimum. And on top of that, for Liverpool, the revenue will be massive. Like LeBron James and Christian Pulisic content. Come on.
Captain
I
America,
don't care.
Liverpool.
We're not a clothing store. I don't care. I don't care if he sells 5 shirts. I don't care.
Can you imagine the money? You guys, no transfer will
You're
be
literally trying to sell him to me. That's what you're doing
Anita,
right now.
Are you saying
that tells me all I need to know? Honestly, that tells me all I need to know. Chelsea fans. I spoke to 8 Chelsea fans when this story broke. I was on his face. 7 Chelsea fans came in, and the first sentence out their mouth was, I beg you, please take Christian Pulisic. Please take him. Please, you can have him. Please take him away from us. This man is a certified bum. I'm not hearing this whole baller shit. He ain't no baller. He's a certified bum. When he's injured a whole lot of time, and when he's not injured and he plays, he don't play well anyway. This is not like a Ousmane Dembele situation where, like, okay, when he's not signed up to the hospital and he plays, he actually plays well. This guy, even when he plays, he don't play well. So that's number 1. Number 2, if Mane walks out the door and Pulisic walks into the door, I genuinely will go live on YouTube and I'll slap myself. Yesterday,
make sure you click
I
that.
had a whole rant. I literally... this is the worst I ever felt my whole life with the Pulisic link. Genuinely, my lowest moment in the last 5 years in the club time was us linked to Pulisic, because that is an absolute disgraceful link. He don't improve us 1%. He's going to be signed to the Liverpool hospital. His goal return is pathetic. Literally, Ibrahima Konate has outscored most of his seasons. He has 13 Premier Bundesliga goals in like 70-something appearances. So even his goal scoring, you can go to Wikipedia. I think it's literally under 30 goals in like 140 appearances. And like, it's just, there is literally zero. Logic dictates you don't go get Christian Pulisic. Logic dictates you don't make that signing, because it's the wrong signing once again. And then Terry asked me why I'm pissed off. You know why I'm pissed off, Terry? Because we're linked to Nunez, Pulisic, Bowen, all the bums we're linked to. We're not linked to one proper baller who, when I go away to the Allianz Arena, the Bayern defenders can't sleep thinking about. I'm not linked to any of those guys. I'm just linked to these guys who are either going to be signed to the hospital or don't perform or are just pure, no sauce whatsoever, can't pass the football. Here we are, man. And I'm supposed to sit here and go like, yes, Klopp improves players. So let's just go get any Tom, Dick and Harry. Come on, man. Christian Pulisic, do me a favor, honestly, give me a break. I cannot do this. I swear I cannot do this, Terry. I actually cannot do this. I promise. I genuinely cannot do this.
My fault. It's your club, bruv. It's your club, bruv. It's what you're linked to. You are also linked to Raphinha, which we'll come on to later. A lot of people like Raphinha as a player. But what are you saying? Like Patrick, Pulisic, because you think if he went to Liverpool, because I would say this about Chelsea, there's two players who their fans weren't really that bothered about them leaving. KDB and Mo Salah. We know that haunts them now, watching those two ball out. Could this happen again to Chelsea if they let Christian Pulisic go and he turns it on at Liverpool? Could they feel that same sting in the tail again?
Nah, not being funny, but Pulisic isn't that guy. I don't know why Anita's being so nice to him, but he is not that guy at all. And I think that Chelsea fans will be happy to see him go, and that says it all. They're not going to miss Pulisic leaving, and Chelsea will go out and get someone much better than him anyway. He's not a guy that you're going to miss. Even someone like Ziyech, who I think is a baller, hasn't necessarily performed, in all the games, but I like Ziyech, and he's capable of putting in a shift and scoring and doing something. I don't really feel that when I see Pulisic play, but I just think it's funny, man. Life comes at you fast, isn't it, Husam? Because you was out here dissing the Tottenham players, saying that we're all championship caliber players and blah blah blah.
And I stick by it.
And now when you look at all the guys you're linked to, it's quite funny. They're like you said, they're all championship.
Have you seen who you're linked to?
Pulisic, Bowen, these kind of guys are nowhere near the Manes and Salahs and the guys that are looking to.
Sorry, Igal, what was you saying? Sorry.
Respect Bowen, guys. Bowen's not in that bracket.
Bowen is a decent player, but he's not.
You can respect him as much.
Yeah, I agree with Husam, but Bowen's not going to take any team forward. He's not going to take any team to that next level.
But the thing is, right? I hear what you're saying, but nobody is going to compare to Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah right now in football. Nobody does. Absolutely no one. Who do you want to go and buy?
Sadio Mane, yes. Salah, no.
Yeah, there are top players out there.
I already know your agenda with Sadio Mane.
You've got.
I don't have an agenda. I just say it as it is, Anita.
Patrick is talking.
Yeah.
You were talking. You interrupted Patrick first, so don't you dare.
There are players out there, but you got to play the top dollar. If you're looking at someone, Son, for example, could compare to those guys, but you got to pay top money to pry him off a team like Tottenham, who probably wouldn't sell him. So
sorry, a team like Tottenham, relax there, man.
Yeah, a team like Daniel Levy, where you think you're going to pry.
But Patrick, you're right though. I said this a little while ago, and I do think Liverpool they don't need to do it. They can come again. They can buy rawer younger players and develop them. But that's why you're only going to be winning, 1, maybe 2 league titles every 5-6 years doing it that way. What Liverpool really need to do is respond to Man City. They need to walk down, not literally, they need to go to North London and they need to go, there's 110 million pounds, we need Harry Kane. They're not going to do it, but they need to do it.
If you're really trying to still be that team.
If they're going to beat City to the title, that's what you've got to do. There's no doubt that if you were to buy Raphinha and Bowen and some young obscure striker we haven't heard of right now, I've got no doubt in my mind that Klopp over a 2 to 3 year period couldn't turn them into one of the most deadly strike forces in Europe. But in that 2 or 3 year period, it's other teams winning the major trophies, and it's all about what you're happy with your club doing and how you want them to sort of operate. And City are just never going to do that. City are going to get that balance of developing youth, but also buying those ready-made stars. Sometimes ready-made stars are young, but it's an intriguing one. I'm going to come to you in a second, Gal. I want to go to some of these super chats, so we're not going to get round to them all. First one here says, Dom Husam. It would be awesome if Darwin Nunez comes to Liverpool, and along with either Raphinha from Leeds or Anthony from Ajax, then Salah can leave. So I'm a Liverpool fan. Want Salah to go.
My brother Paul. Thanks for the donation, but that will just be the worst thing ever.
It could be. It could be. A player can have all the skill and talent, but if his decision making is poor, then he'll be trash. Pulisic, I think that's meant to be Pulisic is trash. Miguel here says Pulisic helped Chelsea get their second Champions League with a man of the match performance versus Porto and Real Madrid. Also helped America win a trophy. What are you on about? And didn't Pulisic dunk on you?
Ashley Barnes dunked on us. Let's call Burnley and sign him then, if that's the logic. That's the point. No, and once again, the logic is so flawed because if let's just keep Origi. He helped us win the Champions League and blah, blah, blah. Let's keep him forever.
It's true. Pulisic is a soccer player, not a footballer, is what Corey says here.
That's funny. That's actually funny.
That's a good one. That Liverpool fan on the panel, that's you, Dom, should just thrill and trust Klopp. Chill. Thrill, chill, relax, Dom. Take a pill. Should just trust Klopp. If Klopp wants Nunez or Pulisic, I will rather trust him than the guy on the panel who thinks you think you're better than Klopp. You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace.
Jason, let me. Can I address Jason, please? I just need to see, because this specific type like winds me up. Jason, what's the point of us doing this then? Let's all just sit back. Let's cancel YouTube. Forget football YouTube. Let's all just sit back and go like, okay, whatever Klopp does, I'm gonna just say yay, and we can't criticize. I have every right to criticize, question, agree, disagree. Welcome to the world of content creation, my guy. Plus, in case you did not know, Jurgen Klopp wanted Brandt and wanted Godze, and we got Salah and we got Mane instead from the transfer committee. So, you know, sometimes the manager's decisions, maybe in terms of transfers, don't always hit.
So what you're actually saying is that Jurgen Klopp is not to be trusted. Is that what you just said?
Look how he spun it. He spun it like a Beyblade, honestly.
What I'm hearing here, Lamin here, that's a Chelsea fan, says, I would rather keep Pulisic and sell Werner.
Why? That's so dumb.
Why is it dumb?
Why is it dumb, my guy? Why is
I want to hear this.
Even though Timo Werner has been underwhelming, he's contributed more. He's been more available, and even in your Champions League final, he was fit and available and contributed.
He missed 2 big chances in the Champions League final.
It's not about his chances missed. Without him clearing the way and making the
run.
run.
Are we doing this movement thing again? Can we go to the next super chat, please?
Hey, you people are talking about.
I'm not gonna lie, Timo Werner can cut. He can go.
I'm just saying, if you had a choice between Timo Werner and Pulisic, who's contributed more to Chelsea over the last 2 years?
I just don't think we should be arguing over these two anyway.
I think it's
I agree with you there. I completely agree there.
It's one of those micro penis competitions again, isn't it? You know what I mean?
I didn't say that. I did.
That's what I said. It definitely is one of them ones there.
Too much.
Viewers, we are going to talk about a bid that's meant to be going in from Man United, a second bid for Ruben Neves. That is still to come on the show. We're going to take a look at a bit more roundup of the transfer window as well. We are talking Mark Goldbridge and his beef with Thibaut Courtois, because I'm not going to lie, it had me. I want to speak about it's mainly about influencers. It shows how powerful they are now, because once an agenda sets in, it doesn't go anywhere. The fact that a professional footballer responded is brilliant to me. It really, really is. We're going to speak about that. We're going to touch a little bit on international bias as well, so stay with the terrace. But before we go on to Man United, I wanted to speak a little bit on Arsenal, because there's reports coming out now that they're not going to spend as much as they initially said or buy as many players as they initially promised. Gabriel Jesus, as far as we're aware, has agreed personal terms, but Arsenal won't pay the £50 million. They won't go above 35 million as things stand. Arsenal are now linked to Scamacca, who I'm not going to lie, I'd never heard of until like 4 or 5 days ago. Suddenly, I'm kind of hearing Arsenal fans talk about this guy like they've been scouting him for 4 or 5 years. Everyone who said that, I'm not going to put it on the screen. I'll be horrible. I've taken their on Twitter. I've done an advanced search. I put like the dates over the last 3 years. None of them ever tweeted about him, ever. I've always said none of them, not one. What's going on at Arsenal? Are Arsenal actually onto a winner here, finding a cheaper but equally as good alternative to someone like a Gabriel Jesus and Husam that they were looking at? Or is this Arsenal cutting corners and buying cheaper, less quality football players? What are we saying here, Igal?
This is Arsenal being used for a player to get a move to his dream club, which is either Inter or AC, in my opinion. I don't think we're actually seriously looking at the player. I don't think the player is going to be coming to Arsenal. I think, if anything, this is another situation where an Italian player is using a Premier League club to get his move or to boost his name in the market. Because guess what? You're linked to a Premier League club. People immediately think, you know what, the value is going up. Maybe Inter or AC or whoever is going to be coming out for him will now make that move to come and get him. And you know what? I really do believe this is how it's going to play out. Right now, you might hear links of us rejecting bids and everything else. In 2 weeks' time, you're going to see 20 million plus a loan deal going to another Italian team. That's what's going to end up happening. It always happens. And that's what's going to end up happening. I don't believe it for 1 second.
Okay.
Why are you shocked?
Not shocked.
I hear it though. Like I saw a tweet which I totally agree with, where like it's a bit like what your guy was saying. I mean, a lot of Italian players, like you rarely see a top Italian talent or upcoming Italian talent leave the Serie A. Like you look at guys like Zaniolo, Pellegrini, they've all been linked with moves to other clubs, and they rarely leave. I mean, who's the last top Italian player we've seen leave? Maybe Jorginho.
Bro, I literally said this. Can you guys name more than 10 Italian players that have played in the Premier League? I think it's impossible almost.
And in top Italians, you've got like Zola.
Yeah. You got.
There aren't very many though. I don't disagree with you. I'm just kind of waiting for everybody else. I think you're coming from the right. What you're saying is far more sensible than these gooners who are suddenly pretending that they're an expert on who this player, because we know that no one was talking about him, because otherwise Arsenal have got probably the most powerful fan base online. That name would have trended, and it isn't the kind of name that you forget. Like Scamacca, you wouldn't just, if that trended for a day or two a year ago because Arsenal were linked to him, you wouldn't forget that. You'd remember that moment, really. They're just, some Arsenal fans are shameless. Like, at least say, I don't think we're in for him at all, we're being used here. They step away from the story. Or say it's an absolutely ridiculous deal because no one knows anything about him. Can he play here? Does he really want to leave? It's the people that suddenly try and, I've seen Arsenal fans talking about how they know facts that he's better than Gabriel Jesus. How? When you, I guarantee some Arsenal fans don't even know the club he plays for exists. Sassuolo. Well, maybe
we know Sassuolo because
they do because Locatelli. But before Locatelli was linked to you, no one spoke about that football club ever in the history of Premier League. No one's ever spoke about Sassuolo. I didn't even know it was an Italian club. I'm not pretending. I don't watch the league. People act on socials like they watch so much international football. Yeah, they don't. But it's true. It's crazy to me. And
you know what it is, Terry?
Stay away.
I honestly think half of the things that Arsenal are linked to, half of the stories are there might be partial truths, but we're not getting the full story at once. That's what I feel like. I always feel like it's partial truths, but not the full story at the whole time. Sometimes, like you see the Vlahovic thing. You could have told me Vlahovic wasn't going to happen in the first week of the window. Why'd you wait until the last day to tell me? It's just annoying.
I told y'all. I told every Arsenal fan. I said Vlahovic ain't come. I told you guys in December. No one wanted to listen to me though. Everyone told me a hater. I said, y'all gonna suffer today.
I remember doing a show. I pulled a clip out of me and Dean. I said, Dean, like Vlahovic to Arsenal. And Dean gets a lot of stick from Gooners, and his face just sort of, he almost like, you know, when you see like a comedy show where someone's trying not to laugh. He was just trying not to laugh, and it weren't even being rude. It just isn't happening. He doesn't understand why it's getting all this traction and people are talking about it and whatever else. But Gabriel Jesus to Arsenal, though. Patty, I'm going to ask you as a rival here. I know you've been away celebrating for a few weeks. Gabriel Jesus to Arsenal, is that a good enough signing for them to close the gap on you in the top four?
Yeah, that's a really good signing, man. I'd be shocked. I can't lie. I'm still shocked that he's considering Arsenal. I'm very shocked because he's a quality player.
Oh, really?
The guy who's come in and he doesn't start every game, but you're seeing Pep trusted him down the stretch, and Liverpool and Man City were neck and neck. And Pep threw him in. He pretty much started every game, the last 10, 12 games. And he contributed. He gets goals. He gets assists. You can always trust him. Do you know what I mean? Even if he doesn't play all the time, when he comes in, he has a good performance. So I'm wondering, why would you want to go to Arsenal and play with their front three and play under a manager who hasn't proved himself, doesn't really know that much? Yeah, I know he kind of was, Pep's B or understudy at Man City, but I just don't get it, man. That, for me, shows a guy with no hunger anymore and just no desire. Like, if you go to Arsenal right now at 25, you're writing yourself off. Like,
very disrespectful.
What is it? It's not disrespectful. It's the truth.
No. Like, you're forgetting. There's something called relationships in football, and he has relationships with Edu, who is former Brazilian director.
Come on, man. He can do better than Arsenal. He can do better than Arsenal.
Let me finish.
Where though? He can do better.
He also has a relationship with Mikel Arteta, who was his assistant manager at Manchester City. So the fact that he has two direct contacts already at the club, plus there's a vacant open spot for that number 9 shirt at the club, and this is a World Cup year where he needs to get game time to get himself ready for that World Cup. There's so many reasons why he would move to Arsenal.
He would get into the Brazilian squad, even at Man City.
On top of that, when it comes to Juventus, who might be after him, we don't know if that's going to happen. Atletico Madrid might be after him. That just literally came out of nowhere today. The only team that might actually take him away from us is Real Madrid, and that's if they go in for him. That's an if.
Yeah,
It's not even
Real Madrid linked. I'm hearing that I'm hoping that the rumors are true and that we're linked to him. I'm seeing a few things coming out that Spurs are in for him.
Utter BS.
And I hope it's true. I hope we take him off you because I'd love to see it, man.
Patrick?
BS.
Why the hell would you leave a team where you won 4 league titles in a row and go to Tottenham? He's retiring from winning trophies ever again.
What are you talking about? Listen to your flawed logic. You lot haven't played Champions League in like 5 or 6 seasons, and you're saying that it's a good move for him to go there.
No,
you wouldn't come here.
Forget about that. Are you crazy?
It don't even make sense.
You think Manchester City are ever going to do business with Tottenham again after what you guys did with Harry Kane? Never.
Listen, if we pay up, then yeah, I don't see why not. Especially if they want him off the books.
This is the same club who told them, "Oh, this is what we need for Harry Kane." Then the bid comes in. They're like, "Oh, we want more. Give us more."
No. Stop twisting the story. Daniel Levy always stood firm with his valuation of Harry
Daniel
Kane.
Levy, after he rejected that bid Daniel Levy, after he rejected that bid for Harry Kane, has washed his hands of Manchester City and will never do business with them again.
That's what you're saying. But at the end of the day, Man City tried to lowball us. They knew how much Harry Kane cost, and they come in with some measly bid after they were paid 100 million for Jack Grealish. It made no sense. If they were serious about Harry Kane, they would have put the money up because we all know Man City have got the cash.
I think Gabriel Jesus, if he comes to Arsenal, he'll do numbers. And if he went to Tottenham to sit on the bench, that would be the biggest sacrifice of his career. He would literally ruin his career.
Listen, if you got a chance to go and play either with Conte, was it Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, and Kulusevski, or you go and play Arsenal on a Thursday night with Saka, flipping Smith Rowe, and maybe Martinelli, who are you picking? Like, get real. You need to stop being deluded.
You're picking Arsenal 10 times a week and on Sundays.
What Champions League football, i.e. versus Europa League football? And when you actually look at the model of the team,
I'm talking about the part where
and you also look at. And you also look at the fact that you lot haven't played Champions League football in like 5 or 6 years. It's not.
He wants to leave. He wants to leave because Haaland's coming in. He's gonna now go sit behind Harry Kane. Why?
But that's the thing. He can rotate. Even at Arsenal, I don't know. I just think if you're being honest and you're being like logical, if there's Tottenham and Arsenal right now, he's picking Tottenham. That's the reality of it. But I don't even know if we're in for him like that. So yeah, you might have a free run at him at the moment. But if bigger clubs start sniffing around like your Real Madrids, your Atleticos and all of that, he ain't going to Arsenal.
Don't ever mention Tottenham in the same breath as Real Madrid. That is disrespectful to Real Madrid.
What? No, I didn't do that. So don't try it.
Can I just say?
Kushkan, yeah.
I agree with the gal. I feel like a lot of people underrate relationships in this game. When you've got that much of a connection with the people at a certain club, you are more inclined to go to that club. For example, do you think who's the guy that you guys just signed? Perisic. Do you think he's going to Tottenham if Antonio Conte is not there? Do you get like things like that? Relationships bring you along. And with Mikel Arteta, that's why I didn't even laugh at the Raheem Sterling thing going to Arsenal, even though I don't think that's going to happen ever. But that's why I didn't laugh, because he's got a relationship with Mikel Arteta. And we talk about the pull of people's clubs, and when Jose Mourinho went to Tottenham, it's really just about the pull of the manager. If the manager has a relationship with a certain player, for example, Zlatan going to Manchester United when Jose Mourinho was there, they had that relationship already. That's why he went there. He wanted to play under Jose Mourinho, despite the nonsense that Man United were spewing at the time, you know? So it happens. So I agree with the gal on that one. Sorry, Patrick. Don't kill me, though.
No, I agree. I think what's interesting about it is yesterday we saw Saliba Sunday, and we saw Gunners celebrate, go after, and get French football now. Yeah, look, he wants to stay. I felt like I kind of always felt like we knew he wanted to stay at Arsenal. It was the second I got sent the DM. Someone sent me the link. Oh, so you got to do a video on this. And I didn't have the time yesterday because I was cooking barbecue for about 70 odd different people. But I got sent this through, and I want to try and click on it again because this bit was ignored by Arsenal fans, because this has been my question the whole time. But it's relationships it goes back to. So he says, I belong to them as in Arsenal. I still have 2 years on the deal. I will be part of the pre-season with Arsenal. I've played 0 matches, and I do want to show them what I'm made of, and I have the chance to play for the fans in this big club. Wait, there's a line after that that's being ignored, which was, but it doesn't just depend on me. In any case, I leave it like this. To leave like this would be a shame. The question mark's never been, does Saliba want to be at Arsenal? It's whether Arteta has that relationship with him and wants him to play. And even now, there's a fairly credible source from Italy saying Napoli are going to make an inquiry about him. Generally, you only get inquiries about players at Saliba's stage of his career if they feel there's a chance of taking him away. And I'm not having a pop here at Arsenal and said, I think Saliba should get game time. I think Arteta is a madman for not at least giving him a chance. But relationships are key. Plus, I'm sorry, Patty, Arsenal without Champions League are still bigger than Tottenham with it, in my opinion. Like Arsenal Football Club are a powerhouse, and they can still bring people in. Now, I totally...
Look at Gal, he's so smug. Look at him.
No, I didn't say
I want to let Terry land, and then I'll reply.
Even footballing reasons, by the way.
I don't.
Even footballing reasons, Jesus should choose Arsenal because he's a guaranteed starter. Guaranteed starter.
What I would say is, I'll caveat it with this: I wouldn't, if they both were in for him, because I think there's a way that you can play Jesus and Kane together. Kane's been dropping into that kind of more 10 role, Jesus in front of him. It depends on the formation that Conte wants to play. If he chose Spurs over Arsenal, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, that is a massive shock, because they've got one of the best managers in the world, a good squad already. It's going to become a brilliant squad if they get him all the players that he wants. But I just think I've seen too many people dismiss Arsenal Football Club for what they are. And I'm not necessarily saying you did that, Patrick, but Arsenal were still massive and they can still attract some of the bigger. I mean, they signed Aubameyang, one of the best strikers in the world at the time, with no Champions League football, when man's walking around with banners outside saying, I've had enough, Robbie. Like, do you know what I mean? In one of the worst times for Arsenal, they were still bringing in Aubameyangs and other top players then. But it's going to be an interesting fight.
Let me just say this on the Saliba bit.
Go on, mate.
The Saliba bit, I just want to say this. Guys, all this hooting and hollering and going crazy was for nothing. Saliba was always coming back. He was alone, and the player was always coming back to the club. They were always going to have a meeting in the preseason to see if he was going to sign a new contract. And if he does not sign a new contract, then you might hear interest from other clubs. Until then, let's not freak out. Let's not go crazy. He said he's going to stay. And to me, this whole time, Arteta doesn't like Saliba. Arteta doesn't want Saliba here. Arteta doesn't want this. It was never about that. It was always just about get the guy experience. He's had issues with where his family members recently passed away, and he wanted to be in France, getting more experience instead of being in Newcastle or another club that he doesn't have a resonation to. That's what it was.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yes, I am being nice at all the clubs, like from Brit Sierra. But now that I'm a verified person,
drop the horn.
Yeah,
I'm not the only verified person.
I know 2 verified people are up at the top. Daniels is coming soon, and obviously it means our football opinion is worth more. Twitter obviously recognizes we know. No, I'm joking. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means it's just funny, really, because one of the young girls who lives on the streets, about 13, 14, I was on my Twitter when I was cooking barbecue the other day. She went, "What's that?" This is my Twitter. She went, "You've got a tick." She's like, she went, "What are you famous for?" I was like, "Nothing." It's just, that age group, the way they see it is crazy. But yeah, thank you for all my new followers this weekend. All 5,000 of you. It was amazing. Thank you. I felt very humbled. It was very good. It's very good. Another transfer that, again, got an Arsenal connection here. I want to get some people's opinions on this player because he's kind of a bit Marmite with every club that he's linked to as well. Ruben Neves, there's reportedly going to be a bid from a second bid, according to this news, from Manchester United. It's saying that a bid was rejected for 35 million in January. Now they're set to go back in with a bid around 42. Wolves want around 50 million for him. Neves has told his agent he'd rather stay in England for family reasons. Ruben Neves, is that a good bit of business for Man United? Arsenal also linked to him as well. What are we saying, people?
It's a good sign.
Yes, he is. He's a fantastic business. I would take him at Liverpool as well. I really like Ruben Neves. I think he's a very good player.
Don't forget, this guy's still very young.
Now, but the price tag matters, though. So they're going to have to bring that down for me to say yes.
Exactly.
So
50 million.
50 is a bit too much. I think 40 is realistic.
Yeah.
40 is realistic.
Same.
Guys, don't forget, just take yourselves back a couple years ago. Ruben Neves, when he went to Wolves, was one of the biggest shocks. Like, this guy was like highly touted, highly rated youngster. And when he went to Wolves, it was like, now he's been in the Premier League a couple years. He's at Wolves. We're like, yo, Ruben Neves, we're used to seeing him. But he's still very highly touted, still very highly rated. And I still think he has the potential to go to a big club and make a big move in his life. And if he goes to Manchester United, that might just be the move, because you've been looking for a midfielder that can do that, do what Ruben Neves does.
Yeah, no, I like him. He's a really good player, but 50 million is a bit steep. I need to check how many years he's got left on his contract, but yeah, Wolves are being quite cheeky with that one for 50. I'd say 35 to 40 mil.
I think he's 24 as well, or 25. So he's young.
He's at a good age. Yeah,
he's 25.
He's about to like explode into his peak years. So this would be a perfect time to sign him.
Yo, he has 2 years remaining. And their current manager, what's his name? I forget. Wolves manager recently in Bruno Lage. He said he's $100 million player. Anyone who
2 years remaining though, you know, they need to sell him now, innit?
The money's. I mean, my only issue and concern is the development of Fred and McTominay. Though he's going to get in their way, they're not going to get the game done. Jokes, obviously, people. What I find interesting is you've got like, I know Bissouma's got the court case thing, but he's valued around 35-40. You've got, I agree, I think 35-40 million with the amount of time he's got left on his deal.
Yeah, definitely.
When I look at the quality of a Ruben Neves and what he can bring to a midfield, and then you think about how much money West Ham want for Declan Rice. Now, Declan Rice, I think, is a top-class midfield player, but he isn't double 3 times as good as a Ruben Neves. He just isn't. He isn't like...
You're good at this, Terry. You're good at this.
Oh, I do all right, man.
The way you link them together and segued it, like I'm taking notes right now.
Terry,
every Chelsea fan's blood is boiling just from that sentence.
No, but Terry, that's not the issue, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think obviously we all know that, and I think every sensible fan does know this. Like, we know Declan Rice is good, and we can separate the fact that Declan Rice is good and also the fact that Declan Rice's price, or the price that is being quoted, isn't feasible or isn't even right. However, it's the value to that club. That's what I always say in terms of worth and the value to that club. West Ham believe they are in the driving seat, which they are in when it comes to a guy like Declan Rice, and they will charge whatever they want to charge. And you look at what they tried to offer him. I think, what was it, an 8-year deal?
8-year contract.
You know how much
prison sentence.
They want him to be the face of West Ham for years to come. Wolves have less so that sense of attachment and stuff like that. Obviously, we understand that. So there's obviously context in it.
No, I agree. And listen, if Man United had a team that was brilliant, we were winning Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues, and we needed a new midfielder, and they wanted £100 million for a Rice, in this climate, with the money he's worth as well, with his image rights, big England star, I wouldn't care. The issue is more, it takes up too much of the budget when there are players of similar quality that, for me, are just available cheaper. And the new deal that Declan Rice is looking at, if he does a Harry Kane and ruins his career by staying at a small club, like he can't do it. And I don't mean that rudely. Again, I'm not even having a pop at Spurs. I'm just saying, like, Harry Kane should have left 4 or 5 years ago. Declan Rice is getting to that point, 1 more year max, and he has to force himself out of that club, because you've got to strike while the iron is hot. You've got to move to. He's a Champions League. We're never going to know how good he is until he's in one of these teams. The answers are always going to be there. Even with Harry Kane, I know how good Harry Kane is, but he needs to go to a team that's ready to win a league title. He needs to play in the Champions League for a team that we all think can win it. Then we'll really see how good he is. And I just worry that I don't worry. Declan Rice isn't going to be that silly. He isn't going to be that silly. He will leave. But Ruben Neves, and I saw David's comment there saying he's not that good. For me, I've always rated Ruben Neves. I'm a little biased, but I said the same thing about Jota. I said it'd be a hit at Liverpool. No, he won't do anything. Deadly for him. I'm not saying he's the best. But he's deadly, and Ruben Neves is class. And if you add him with a man like Frankie de Jong in the middle, Man United will be back.
Those two would cost you less than Declan Rice.
Exactly. I mean, you could sign.
Did everyone just move past the fact that you said Man United will be back? That has to be the
one. I didn't. I mentally know. I mentally know.
I was this close.
Ten Hag. We've got Ten Hag there. We've got 2 directors of
football. 1 Hag, 2 Hag, high five, huh?
And like AJ there, it's clipped, and he's gonna clip it just as I end saying it. So none of this bit afterwards where I said it was a joke.
No context.
About the value in the market. You could sign Ruben Neves, Basuma, and Christian Eriksen for something like 60% of what Declan Rice is going to cost you. There's value out there that you've got to go and look for, I think, especially top clubs like Man United that need to kind of buy more in that sort of regard.
Since you're the United fan, though, now that you're losing Pogba, like, how do you rebuild that midfield? What would be sensible, realistic in terms of how you restart that midfield?
The Pogba's an interesting one because everyone keeps telling me he was a flop and he was awful. If he was a flop and he was awful, he's easy to replace, isn't he? Like, do you know what I mean? Because he didn't do anything for us. So for me, I think we need someone of De Jong's level as a football player, whether it's De Jong or an alternative. We need someone of that ilk and that quality. We need someone who's, I don't necessarily think we need someone who breaks up play like an enforcer style defensive midfielder. I'm more than happy with someone like a Ruben Neves who would play a more Michael Carrick role. I like that style of DM. You can reading the game is sometimes more important than being a bit of a crash bang wallop merchant. We don't need that. Someone that controls the tempo of the ball. I like Ruben Neves. I like the idea we've gone in for Christian Eriksen that plays a little bit further forward. Donny's going to get another chance. De Jong that's going to come in there. And I think with the types of midfielders we're linked to, it tells me, it gives a real inclination as to how Ten Hag's going to try and play. Possession is clearly going to be something he tries to work on. And you need those midfielders to hold on to the ball because the guy that's going to play regularly in front, that's going to be a goal scorer, he ain't any good at holding on to the ball. So what do you do for Bruno Fernandes to counteract his weakness? You add players into the squad that are good at ball retention, good at controlling the tempo of the game, and you feed the ball into Bruno in areas of the pitch where it's okay to lose it, in and around the edge of the box. You don't want Bruno Fernandes to me holding on to the ball in around central midfield for 60 minutes of the game because he's going to keep losing it and you're going to get countered. So I like the kind of profile of footballer that we're looking at. I just want us to make sure that my one fear is that we buy too much in midfield or too much at the back and we don't cover all the areas. We're not going to be the complete squad in one summer under Ten Hag, but we need an attacker. We need a bit in midfield and we need a bit at the back. And so far, I'm quite happy with who we're linked with. It just depends who we can actually pull in because some big clubs are looking at our targets as well. And we ain't got no Champions League football and 9 years of failure. So we've got some problems. We're a little bit of problems there. But
say
that again, Terry. You cut out. Can you say that again?
I'm not saying it again, son. Ain't happening, bro.
You view Ruben Neves as I don't view him as a traditional DM. So him, De Jong, and Bruno Fernandes midfield still seems kind of light to me.
No.
Yeah, but they still got Fred and McTominay, so they can still rotate and bring someone in, and
I think it depends on the formation. Yeah, it depends on the formation. You know, you do say we play 4-3-3 as an example, and you've got Neves holding that midfield, De Jong one side of him, maybe Bruno the other, but a little bit more advanced. Like, again, I don't personally feel there's much of a difference between 4-3-3s and 4-2-3-1s when the majority of teams you play against sit back and defend. Like, I don't get overly, they're very similar. Like, they're very, very similar in and out of possession. Like, there isn't too much to focus on, but maybe we need a little bit more, but we're not going to fix all our problems in one summer. And the kind of the DMs people think about, like a peak Kante, how many of them really exist that are really good on the ball as well? There's not very many. Like, I like the idea of Basuma. I think a lot of the bigger clubs are going to maybe steer clear because the last thing you want to do is invest in him and then you know what I mean. You get a bit. You don't need that, but yeah, like, I'm kind of fine with what we're looking at. Really, I don't think there's much more that we could be looking at than they're currently working on right now. But it's certainly going to be intriguing. Viewers, make sure you're hitting that like and that share button for us. A comment here says, Mr. H. Nunez does not play for some scrubs. He is playing for Benfica, plus he is 22. Lots of upside, plus seems you base your stats on reading or FIFA, not actually watching football matches. So Husam's being called out by Husam there. You're saying there, Anita. Sorry. What are you going to say?
I forgot now. That I forgot. My bad.
Spurs fans rattle Wegal differently, and if Arsenal go to Sassuolo for a player, they should be getting. I can't pronounce that name. What is that?
Raspadori.
I don't know much about him.
Again, I can't lie. I've never heard of him. Have you guys?
Same.
Yeah, never heard of him.
I'm not reading that name because I can't, and that's going to end up being one of those. That could end up being one of those words that sounds a bit naughty when you say it out loud. But we'll see what it says. There was a question for Dom Husam, but I'm going to wait for him to come back before we get on to that. Now, a little bit of what's this? Bruno will never start at number 10 for Ten Hag because he lacks technical ability. Let me just say, speaking facts, a lot of people. I just don't agree. Like, let's just see what happens. I think some people are really praying that Bruno flops under him. I'm not fussed either way. As long as we get better as a football team, I couldn't care less. Like, I just couldn't care less.
I feel like I remember my question now. So obviously, if your midfield gets sorted out, right? How does Man United potentially line up with? Would it be a midfield 3? Would it be a midfield 2? And what does that mean for like your attackers? Because your attackers are a bit scarce at the moment, if I'm correct.
Yeah, listen, I think from my point of view, if we go 4-3-3, well, I think we're going to play with one striker, whether it's Ronaldo's going to obviously start quite a few games. I think you're obviously going to hopefully.
Ronaldo's still going to be here. Is that
Ronaldo? I think it's pretty nailed on that Ronaldo's going to stay. Yeah, it's pretty. So he'll be there. We are quite heavily linked with Darwin Nunez. Let's just say Nunez signs a striker. There'll be those two that will play centrally. They'll rotate. I think most of the attackers we're linked to do have the ability to play slightly left, slightly right if they need to. It's going to be intriguing to see. I think what he gets out of the likes of Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford is going to be key. Can he get them back to performing, firing on all cylinders and back to the best? And I think that's why there's going to be certain positions that we maybe won't buy for this summer. And in terms of let's give some of these players one more chance and opportunity to kind of deliver. I think that's going to be key. I'm intrigued to see what happens with Bruno. If we go 4-3-3, I think Bruno could be phased out. If we go to a 4-2-3-1 or a formation that has a traditional number 10, I think we could see Bruno get back to his best under him. But I'm in this sort of frame of mind where I don't want Ten Hag in his mind to rule anything out. I want him to work on what gets Man United playing the best. And if I'm being really honest, I don't care whether Rashford becomes a casualty. I don't care whether Varane comes a casualty. I don't care whether Sancho makes it or not. I just want my team to get back to being the very best that they can be. And I'm done with this player FC stuff. You know, if every member of the squad flourishes and everybody's doing well, we rotate great and we're buzzing, then great. But yeah, I think that some players, Bruno's, some Rashfords, I think some of them could either become absolute stars again, or within a year, I think their careers could be over. But I think Ten Hag's got that in his mind, and I'm playing the best team rather than the best individuals. And I think that's where Ollie really went wrong. It was almost Bruno's in bad form for a month. Instead of rotating or changing something, he just persisted and persisted and persisted. So I'm hoping that changes, really.
Just one more thing. Earlier how we were asking about the steal. With that positioning and everything, do you feel like the three in the midfield is going to transition depending on the personnel anyways, so it doesn't really matter what the set start is? So it might be a back two, it might be a 2 and then Bruno ahead, or it might be a midfield 3 depending on the personnel.
It might, but listen, don't be too shocked if a Fred or a McTominay also gets used a lot, especially year one by Ten Hag, and they look better.
I think they will be.
I think don't be surprised to see Harry Maguire
have to use the squad
and improve again. Well, there's using the squad. There's also this, and a lot of United fans don't like this chat, but for every excuse that Paul Pogba and Anthony Martial were given for not reaching their full potential because of bad coaching, bad training, bad systems, bad tactics, think about how much more that impacts the lesser talented players. If you're highly talented and you're struggling because of a bad coach, if you're less talented, surely that's got to be worse. If you actually put our players in a strong structure where we're working on more ball technique, more ball retention in training, you can see those improvements. Liverpool have got a very famous example with Jordan Henderson, where he's still not the world's best footballer, but he's better now than he was under Roy Hodgson. He's better now than he was under Brendan Rodgers. And I think that I'm not suggesting that you're going to see McTominay become the Man United captain and win the Premier League and Champions League. I'm just saying in the short term, you can probably get a tune out of a player or two that we want out for a year, 18 months, you know. And you've also got young James Garner to come back in, and Man United fans are excited about him. He's played in the Championship, which is a strong, hard, aggressive league, and he did well. I want to see him given an opportunity in the midfield as well. But I don't know if they think you need powerhouses anymore. You can't tackle in foot. You get sent off now for follow throughs after winning the ball. So tackling's going out the game anyway. So
soft.
it is gone soft. So yeah, I'm not overly worried about
And
that.
there's Europa League as well, remember, Terry. So there's many opportunities to play football. It's not just 38 Premier League games. You're gonna play Thursday as well. So players are gonna get opportunities to have an impact, have a difference, and prove themselves. There's also players you could tell certain like you could just smell that certain players will survive. And the key thing is about what Terry just said is I feel like many Man United fans think just because Ten Hag's here is like, okay, now this guy's gonna go out and that guy's gonna go out and this guy's gonna leave and that guy's gonna leave. They have a list of about 10 players who think they're gonna leave. And I'm like, you do realize you can't let go of 10 players in one window.
You have a squad, bro.
Yeah, you have to have a squad. So and I think all the players will get one more opportunity. I fully believe that. I think one more
players are lining up to leave. That's what it is.
Yeah, they are. But on top of that, I said this on last week's show. So far, everyone that's left was going to leave if Ollie was still the manager. Ten Hag isn't the guy that's come in and gone, right, all these players have got to go. Ten Hag is going to probably pick 3 or 4 to leave, which is about the same that he actually has a choice in. The rest will leave irrespective. And that's about the same amount that most managers get rid of each summer, 3 or 4. It's not as deep as people are really making out. A lot of deadwood had to go irrespective, but it's going to be an intriguing one. Now, speaking of softness, we saw the beef that, honestly, I laughed my head off about this. And I want to get people's take on this we're all content creators to some level or degree. And the reason that this one really stood out to me was because, like, whether people like him or not, and he can be a polarizing character, Mark Goldbridge tweeted. He tweeted and said that about Enrique not having David De Gea in the playing for Spain. And he basically spoke about how Thibaut Courtois won the man of the match in the Champions League final, saying he's not quick off his line and he's not good with his feet, but like the keeper did his job by saving things. This led to the actual man himself, Thibaut Courtois, tweeting Mark Goldbridge, showing him pictures of him actually not using his feet, but pictures of him coming out and commanding his box in his area. And the reason this made me laugh, he then came back with a great reply, Mark, and basically said, thanks for that man of the match performance, stopping Liverpool from winning the Champions League. It just goes to show me, like, how many times have I said what we say on the internet hits these players in dressing rooms? And people think that, like, I'm crazy when I say it. Bro, I know Mark Goldbridge is popular, but to make one of the best goalkeepers in the world, who's won however many Champions Leagues, respond to a tweet, our football has become, the question is, our football is becoming a little bit too soft.
No, not at all. And I think this is I even think this is the wrong example to say this. I'm not saying that you're saying it, just in general, innit? So, fam, we've literally been dying for, as creators, as fans, we want to interact with players. We want to know what players think. We want to see that players have personality. And what Courtois is doing is just cheekily having a little banter and being like, wow, like, look at me, like, look, I can do this. And even then, he still shows respect. He doesn't even go that deep. And because I think someone else asked him a question and he said something like, I'll never speak bad about a fellow goalkeeper or something like that. So he didn't disrespect De Gea. He's just disproving the point where it talks about him, and he's responding to himself directly. If Mark Goldbridge, for example, went on a rant and had an opinion about Courtois, and then he went on a rant and responded back, and then Goldbridge responded, and then he responded, and it kept going back and forth, then you could say he's a little bit sensitive and he's a little bit defensive, but he's just literally just being cheeky and banterous. And I think if anyone is criticizing this, then, like, you're what's wrong with the game, because obviously with the way that Twitter and everything is developing and everything is going forward, there's so many negatives with social media, with the way social media is going, the abuse that people get and all of that kind of stuff, the way people are able to say what they liked about and to players and their families and threaten them without any consequences. That's all the negatives and all that's wrong with social media. But this is the flip side. I think this is the good side of social media, where a player can respond to an influencer, creator, and just have a little bit of conversation, a little bit of dialogue. Like when I think one of the best things on social media is when I see Cesc Fabregas have that Q&A, because he doesn't just answer the question. Sometimes he actually has a conversation.
He called Gerrard the greatest Prem midfielder, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. But that's not the topic of the conversation. It's really good, man. It's really good, and I think it's great. It's great for the game.
Let me just say one thing. I really want to say one thing on this. And by the way, we've broken a record today. For the second time in the same live stream, Husam and Daniel agree, ladies and gentlemen. So, hit the like button because this shit never happens. So, thing is, I feel like if anyone here watches the NBA, I feel like, if you see KD, he sort of regularly interacts with fans, and I don't mind it. I don't think it's gone soft. I'm not buying to that narrative. I like the fact that that interaction happened. Furthermore, I actually wish that those interactions happened more, to be honest with you. I feel like it's like a connection between sort of the fans and the actual football players, and I think it's a positive more than a negative. He didn't react in any sensitive way. He actually reacted quite professionally. He just sort of shut down Goldbridge's argument, which is, the funny bit. But I think I like it, and I want it to happen more. I wish this happened a lot more.
You know what the whole thing is? Really, I don't think a lot of people actually know what Luis Enrique said, because when they seen it, they're like, what is he doing? But the main reason was he was talking about distribution and proactive sweeping. And it's funny that he showed the proactive sweeping. And I think these guys already have burner accounts. These guys already interact with these accounts, but we just don't know it. But when it comes to them doing off their professional accounts and actual personal using their own name, we should encourage more of them to do it. We should encourage more footballers to be speaking out and interacting with the fans, because back in the day there wasn't social media. I'm telling you for a fact, if these guys went to bars and people were making fun of them, they were giving it back to them too.
I feel like there's been this kind of, back in the day, like you just said, back in the day there wasn't any social media, and then obviously social media came along, and then there was the blurred lines with the influencers, and I feel like footballers were kind of a bit in limbo as to what they can and can't reply to. Will they get in trouble? What's going to happen? Blah, 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 blah. But nowadays, footballers are kind of being encouraged to show more of their personality. Even in adverts that you see the advert that Trivago just did with Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel ain't got Twitter or anything, but you can see his personality through that. And it's like they're being more encouraged to use social media. And it's a positive thing, I don't want to be sick. I swear to you, if there wasn't this sort of limbo between social media era and the non-social media era, me and Eden Hazard, we would have been best mates. I would have added him every day till he replied to me, and we would have been DMing each other. This is the type of thing. Don't boo me. This is the type of thing that I need to happen so that I could be best mates with some of these people.
Listen, I totally get it, and I asked a question to play devil's advocate. I like seeing it. I think there's a time where players have got to read the room. So I'll use Maguire as an example. When you've had the season that you've had and tempers are high, don't retweet or like a compilation of some good passes, because there's a right and a wrong time, I think, to respond at times, especially when the tempers are high. But I didn't even look at the altercation, and that's why I was calling it beef. I'm being tongue in cheek. It was almost, I feel like Goldbridge was supporting this notion that you don't necessarily need that. A lot of football fans are obsessed with having goalkeepers that are basically midfielders that can save some shots. And Courtois is a little bit more David De Gea-esque than he is an Alisson or an Ederson, if that makes sense. He is a little bit more traditional as a goalkeeper, and he's just won the Champions League, so you can still win the major trophy and a league title, which ironically the two teams in England with the two best goalkeepers in the world have never done in the Premier League era. They never won a league title and Champions League in the same year, yet a goalkeeper like him has done. And I don't think it was a dig, and I don't even necessarily know if Courtois was angry at him. It was a nice exchange, and I want to see a little bit more of it. And Goldbridge's response was nice. It was a little bit of a thank you, and it was lighthearted. And one thing I'd say to a lot of people that use socials, if you want to hear more from the players and you want these, again, some of the apologies you get from footballers are nauseating. It's like, I want to see less of that and a bit more fun. But they can't do that if every time they say something, they're being abused by you all out there. It's a bit like journalists. I want more information about transfers. Then don't abuse a journalist if he tells you something that the club then change their mind about in a week, because they'll hold back and they'll basically keep talking to you in bullet points. So, yeah, I quite like seeing it. It made me, if I'm being honest, it made me laugh quite a bit. I thought it was really funny. I thought fair play to him for coming back and doing it. And like some of the ex-pros get more involved now. Rio Ferdinand has gone from being not involved in social media at all, really, to literally having influencers do his shows with him and Culture Cam do their tactics video together. It's great to see that for me, like mixing of the two things together. And, you know, I've said it for years, the football clubs have got to do the same thing. You know, you've got the boxing YouTube channels where they are in the background with the boxers all day, every day. And the insight you get to boxing, I'd much rather watch a boxer speak to IFL TV or another one I watched, got Fight Nation. I'd much rather watch those YouTube channels and they did the interviews and when they're on Sky, because it's a little bit less watered down. It's not overly PC or like media trained. It's just raw and normal. And for me, I think football has got to caveat that self a little bit, and there'll be a lot more respect. I think the players, people will go easier on the players. There'll be more respect for the players. It'll be a bit more like things used to be back in the day, but via social media. So, yeah, I think it was a good interaction for them to have. And, more of the same. I agree.
Would you encourage players to do Instagram lives after matches and talk to their fans and stuff like that?
No, it depends.
No.
Again, it's always about if you win. But even if you win, you'll get the opponents that are going to come out and say whatever they say.
And
like
referees will get abused.
Blah blah blah.
Referees will get finished.
Maybe come on the terrace and we'll make it member only chat. We'll have an idea for you.
You guys remember when Christian Pulisic he won? I think we won the match. Did we win a match against Everton? Was it Everton or Leicester? Or we drew with Leicester, right? I think Pulisic had a decent game and he put a picture up and then fans literally pelted him. Like they pelted him and he had to take it down because they pelted him. Can you imagine him doing an Instagram live? No. It just can't happen. You got a caveat. You got to cap things at certain levels, and Instagram lives, they just can't happen. And plus, they'll kind of annoy their sponsorship deals as well because it's like they could have used that to make money instead.
Yeah, listen, what did you say there, KJ? You guys are saying they shouldn't because of fan reaction. So who is the real issue here? Oh, listen, it's the fans. Fans are the real problem. Fans are the problem. I'd say with transfer news, fans are the issue. Like it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I've got a guy that DM'd me saying I'm screenshotting every transfer story you share this summer so I can expose you at the end.
Well, he's got time, boy. What's wrong with him?
I just messaged him back and I was like, that's great, because most of the stories you share, like I'll at the person whose story it is, because he got really annoyed at this guy. He's like, yesterday you said this deal wasn't done. Today you're saying it might be off. I went, but that's from two different journalists, from two different papers. I'm just putting it out there for you to all see. But why are you sharing both? Why not just share one? I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm like, that's not my job. My job is to share news, not to go, right, I'm going to ignore this news because it's not what I like. It's weird.
You know the funniest thing is the worst thing is you ask a question and people be like, oh, you said this was gonna happen, but it's a question. or people can't distinguish the difference between questions and what's reality.
No, Arsenal fans are one of the worst for that at the moment. It's like, oh, God, do you think Arteta's the right guy? Why are you saying he's crap, Terry? No, I didn't. I didn't express an opinion. I asked a question, but that's because of, honestly, that's mothers and fathers mollycoddling children, wrapping them in cotton wool. Do you know what I mean? Everyone getting a gold medal at school. That's what it's created. It's created a very weak underbelly. You know, that generation is what it is. But there we go. Speaking of weak underbellies, I want to ask this question as well. I tweeted this last night. Why is it that Harry Kane and Ronaldo get ridiculed when they score against Albania's and Luxembourg's and San Marino's, right? It's always against Minnows crap teams. But last night, Lionel Messi is trending because he scored 5 versus Estonia. Why is Ronaldo and Kane treated differently from Lionel Messi when for doing the same things? What is this? What am I saying?
He's not though. Like, I mean, sorry, he is. Sorry. But they're obviously our cults. And you have like people, you already know this. I don't even think there's even need for a debate on this. It's obviously the fact that there's the Ronaldo and then Kane's not really involved in this, but there's let's talk about the crux. It's Ronaldo versus Messi.
That's what he said.
Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
But Kane's the benchmark. That's what my guy said, right?
Kane isn't.
Oh, come on, you're being silly now. He's the benchmark for number 9s, not for the Ronaldo and Messi debate is a totally different debate.
When it comes down to Ronaldo and Messi, at the end of the day, everyone's looking for cheap points. And yes, fair enough. I don't know if you agree with this, Terry, but because I know that you're on the Ronaldo side of the debate, but like more people like Messi, and it's just the truth. It's why his first season at PSG, there's always a justification as to why he hasn't scored the same amount of goals he normally does for Barcelona. Like the Messi camp will always have that justification. They'll always have a reason as to why it's not going well. And then obviously Messi scoring 5 goals against a European outfit, he was able to showcase his talents again. Actually, he was really good against Italy as well, to be fair. He was really good in that game. I haven't seen
also Estonia are much better than Luxembourg, so it's 2 different comparisons.
No, it's not. It's actually not. It's not.
Also, Lionel Messi is the greatest player of all time, so he could score a hat-trick against Jordan, and I'm gonna make it to the biggest hat-trick of all time. I don't care.
This is what I said.
This is Leo Messi, man.
What it comes down to is, and obviously everyone else is gonna have their say in that, is it's just a tribal football debate where everyone wants to get cheap points on one another. What it comes down to, for me personally, if no one knows, and I haven't said it before, I think Messi is the greatest of all time, the greatest player I've ever seen. However, if you have Ronaldo, and I've heard the arguments and the debate for it, I have no problem with that. I actually don't have a problem with it. I just think, personally, for me, Messi is just different, innit? But yeah,
I think there's a different angle that
me and Daniel disagreed for the third time. What's going on?
The third time, yeah, this is crazy.
My God.
I think there's another angle that you're forgetting. Ronaldo is in Europe, where Messi is in South America, and Ronaldo just plays more European opposition that are weaker on a regular basis.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah,
where some of the weaker South American teams are still a lot stronger than some of the weaker European sides.
But you can't. But my problem with that again is, and that's why I like to be a bit more neutral when it comes to that debate, is you can't kill Ronaldo or take it away from him because he's born in.
I'm not taking it away from him.
No, I know you're not. I'm saying in general. I'm not saying you're doing it. I'm just saying in general. Like, it's like.
Well, what Igal said is factual when you look at it.
No.
Because
listen to this.
Who are the weaker teams? And no, but Igal, who's the weak teams in South America? Like, when you look at it, like, is it maybe Bolivia? You know, possibly.
I couldn't even tell you, bro.
The rest, like, if you just listen to Messi scored the hat-trick against Peru, against Colombia, against Venezuela, these are all like, you're going to go like, okay, like, you know,
let me say this though.
It feels different to a Luxembourg hat-trick.
Imagine you take Messi out of.
I'm not to hop off, by the way. So
imagine you take Messi at a young age and you tell him, instead of picking Argentina, you pick Spain, and you're going to be part of that Spain team that won back-to-back trophies. Imagine how many goals he would have got in Europe playing for Spain instead of Argentina. That's what I'm thinking.
I understand. Listen, for me, the debate, I've never been offended by the debate. If people think Messi's the greatest, and I don't, it's like I don't care, because they're both. What I've hated about this debate for a decade is how people try and put the other one down or take away from, but he's. You could argue it this way: Portugal, yes, Ronaldo can get some more individual goals in Europe because there's Andorras and San Marinos. But typically, Argentina are a bigger footballing nation with a bigger crop of players, with a much bigger country than Portugal, and therefore, when it comes to things like World Cups and Copa, I know he won one in the end, Copa America, they've got a much bigger and better chance of winning those trophies. And there are twos and throws with everything, and that's the bit that annoys me about this. Is almost nearly every single great thing I see Ronaldo do, somebody tries to come out with an excuse as to why it really isn't that great. Scored too many against this type of team, didn't do enough in these types of finals or whatever else. And it just bothers me, because instead of just celebrating two of the greatest of all time, there's just people out there always trying to undo things that people do. Like Harry Kane's about to become England's all-time leading goal scorer. If he hasn't done it already, he might have already done it and might have missed it. But yeah, it doesn't really count because he isn't scoring against these types of teams all the time. And what did he do in the final and everything else? And I just sort of think to myself, I kind of feel like if it was Bukayo Saka that was about to break that ruling, because everyone kind of likes him, he wouldn't get. Certain players just don't get even though Ronaldo gets respect, of course he does. It just bothers me a little bit. I don't know why, it just gets under my skin, and it isn't because I'm a Ronaldo fanboy as such. Because I never slag Messi off. I never want to put him down because I've loved watching him play football. I just find it a little bit weird the way people's energy changes for certain players. Really, that's crazy. Question here. Mourinho to PSG. What do you guys think?
That's horrible.
If that happens, Tammy Abraham's leaving Roma next week.
Wait, what?
I just don't know why PSG would go for Mourinho. Like, it's just a horrible move, man. Mourinho's football is finished. And this, I just can't,
Wait,
PSG
whoa,
will
whoa,
sack a
whoa.
man.
Mourinho's football just won a trophy.
Mourinho's
Disrespect
football is
man,
finished.
the last person to take you to a final, and you're disrespecting him like that.
It's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible
Disrespect.
football, man. Come on,
He
call a
just
spade a
won.
spade.
He just won a
So wait,
European
hold on.
trophy with it.
And we just spoke about what Terry literally, and it's so funny. We do this all the time, and it's why it's even funny. And my point gets made even more is because we just said this. How can the energy change so much? Describe Conte's football for me right now. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's lovely, free flowing.
Conte definitely plays a lot more free flowing football than Jose.
Of course he does.
He definitely does.
You just made my point for me.
Bro,
Jose Mourinho's football is horrible.
That's some next level bias, Patrick.
I've enjoyed Jose. I've enjoyed Conte back to back, so I definitely can see the difference.
Yeah, of course, man.
And even if you looked at that final,
I will. Do you know what I will do? Do you know what I'm gonna do, Patrick? You're talking. I've enjoyed Jose and Conte back to back, right? I'm gonna take you on a journey when Conte was at Chelsea in the Premier League winning season, and the season after that, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna watch a couple of matches there, and we're gonna compare it to Jose Mourinho's time at Chelsea. Okay, I'm telling you, Conte can be more unbearable than Mourinho. I'm telling you that for a fact. If you don't believe me, 2018 Chelsea versus Manchester City. Watch that match. Watch that match, and you will see. I've never seen Mourinho play football like that in my life. Watch that match.
Do you know what's going to be funny about if he makes a final, though? Champions League final, Neymar playing left wing back, Messi playing right wing back, and Mbappe starting on the bench and track enough. Like, it would be funny. It would be funny to see.
He win that final 1-0.
Yeah.
You'd win it 1-0,
He would. He probably would.
He would. I've got some super chats here. One week, I've got to go. Sorry, Gal. My question to Don: did you see Salah as that player back when we first signed him? I bet you trashed him at the time, but see what he turned into. Do you know what? We can't ask him. He's not here anymore, but that's a fair point. Goldbridge is the GOAT. He is spot on. Courtois isn't a modern goalkeeper, and David De Gea agenda needs to stop.
No, he's past it. Give it up. De Gea is done.
Okay. Mark does bring up some good points about modern day goalkeepers. For example, Edison looks nice passing at the back. During the semi-final, he faced 8 shots total, conceded 6 goals. Shot stopping matters. Shot stopping lives matter. Absolutely. Will United fans throw a fit this season if the transfer window is trash, which is it shaping up to be? Do you think Man United's window is shaping up to be trash right now? Does it look trash as outsiders looking in who we're linked to?
It's so early. How can you say that? But no, the players you're linked to
It hasn't even opened yet.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit too early to say
that.
Yeah,
Man United have a
the players that they're linked to. I was going to say the players you're linked to at the moment are really good quality players, so they will improve the team. So it can't be a trash window if you get some of them in.
I agree. Listen, viewers, I really appreciate you coming on to the Top 6 show today. Remember to download or sign up to your account now if so rare. You can scan the QR code that you see on the screen. We're back tomorrow with more content. Some big transfer updates to come on Urian Timber and on Gabriel Jesus. Straight facts tomorrow afternoon with Jessica Black and myself. Wednesday, Ben Jacobs is back on the terrace. We're very much looking forward to that. But until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. Anita, Igal, Daniel, Patrick, and of course, Dom Husam. Thank you. Everyone look after yourselves, and we'll see you all again very, very soon.